In this video, learn how to make an even better stock trade. Importantly, this is what elite traders do on our trading desk. Hi, I'm Mike Bellafiore, co-founder of S&B Capital, and we're a proprietary trading firm located in Midtown Manhattan. And I'm also the author of the trading classic, One Good Trade and the Playbook. In this video, we teach a developing trader during an in-depth trade review how he could have made his good trade in SPY, and it was a pretty good trade, even better. How he could have made it more like our top traders would at the firm. Let's get to work on sharing this important trading lesson from our prop desk so you can grow your trading account.
This is a market play opening drive mean reversion trade that I did on SPY last Monday. So the trade strategy, a few things I look for: significant news, right? Elevated RVOL, important technical level on our daily charts, important intraday technicals, VIX breaking down, increased volume above the breakout.
So it's unusual that you're going to trade SPY, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very.
So why were you thinking about trading SPY?
Well, it was very in play on this day, and we'll get into that, the specific variables. Yeah, so SPY was really in play on this day. So a few things I look for: also increased volume above the breakout, volume spikes into the breakout, declining volume into the pull-in, buying on the tape into pull-ins. I also look for option flow with out-of-the-money strikes, and I'm taking a good look at tick and EDD when I'm trading SPY. Also keeping an eye on the Qs and other ETFs as well. So here are my potential reasons to sell if my price target is hit, if there's breaking news in the market, if there's an aggressive up move on a 5-minute candle, about 1 ATR, so that's about $3 for SPY. So if we get an aggressive candle, I want to be taking off that trade. If we have an unusual seller on the tape, or if tick, add, and VIX are not in my favor. I also use a variety of moving averages, I have my key levels mapped out. So if we get any rejection from those key levels, that's another reason to sell this trade.
If you want to learn 3 more real-world setups that our traders use, including the simple setup that we teach all of our new traders, and the setup that turned one of our traders into a 7-figure big money earner, check out the free webinar that we're currently running. Just go ahead and click the link that should be appearing now at the top right-hand corner of your screen. That will open up the free registration page in a new window, so don't worry, you won't lose this video. You can also visit tradingworkshop.com to register for this free intensive workshop. You're going to learn more in a couple of hours from this trading workshop than from years of online education.
So for a day like this, I like to have multiple trade scenarios, right? 3 that could potentially play out on this day. We got the first one, which was the first move was an aggressive flush into 2 ATRs, trapping eager shorts into support, quickly reclaims that level and holds VWAP. And my plan is to hold, long above that VWAP if the tape and option flow confirms my thesis, right? With risk as low of the day, right? And my targets on that trade would have been 437 and 437.50 and 438.50. I will leave runners for a potential trend day if we remain strong. And I also had 2 other scenarios that didn't play out off the open, but just having those scenarios are important for me, as there were multiple ideas for this day off the open.
I just think none of this makes sense unless you tell us what the news is and what's going on during this day.
Yeah.
So that whole last slide only makes sense if you tell us what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I should have maybe put this slide.
That's okay. I'm sure it's in there. It's in there. Just
yeah.
Can we go to that part? It'll make more sense.
Okay, perfect. Let me just skip through the technicals, and I'll come back to it. But
yeah,
here we are. The
yes,
intraday
let's
fundamentals,
go here.
Right?
What's going on? Set the stage.
Great. So futures fall ahead of Tuesday's Fed meeting. Right. There was a busy economic week ahead. We're gapping down $6.5. Right. That's almost 2 ATRs. we're opening under the 50-day moving average and Bollinger Bands. There was growing fears that Evergrande is defaulting, and that could be rattling
Okay, we're
global
there.
markets.
Okay, we're there.
Yeah.
So there's fear that there's going to be a China real estate default. We're gapping down almost 2 ATRs. We're gapping down a lot, and we're coming into that day. And this trade is on that day.
Yeah.
Okay. What else? What else you want to point out?
Yeah, we also had some housing market information that pretty much in line with expectations. Something to point out is that the VIX is elevated, and we got from 18 to 28 over the last few days, which is really important. And also the R-vol is 1.8, which is unusual for SPY, I guess. We've been having very low volatility recently, so this change is important for me for this specific trade.
So, why does the U.S. market care that a China real estate group may be in trouble? What does that have to do with our markets?
Yeah, well, my initial thought is two things, right? One, if there is illiquidity in the Chinese markets, that may rattle over into the global markets because there might be some mutual interest there with banks and stuff like that, right? The second reason I could possibly think of, people are kind of spooked from the whole 2008 era of the word default. So when people hear about that, it could bring back some memories, I think. And that's why initially I thought that we got this aggressive gap down.
Yeah, I think that's right. There could be a spillover into real estate here, and then there could be a spillover into the overall economy. So people are making that connection.
Yeah.
All right, this is not just a China problem. This is potentially a global real estate problem, which then becomes a global economic problem. That was the initial concern. Follow-up question. Did you do any research to figure out whether or not this actually was a big deal, even in China?
Yeah, I did a little bit of research.
So we get some research notes, and this is a perfect opportunity for you to be ripping through the research that we get and reading what some people are thinking about whether or not this is a big deal, how much this might be worth overall to the markets. Should we expect that? You want to basically try and gauge how much can the market go down, how much should the market go down, can we bounce? Should we bounce right away? Is this something we just brush off? Is this something that will stick around for 2-3 days? Is this something that is really going to cause the regime to change in our markets? Like, is this it now? Is this the moment? Are we really going down now? Is this the Lehman moment from, as you're saying, from 2008? Or is this some nonsense overreaction in China that people don't understand, that they've made a connection to the U.S., which they shouldn't have, and it's not going to spill over to U.S. real estate. And in fact, this company in China is fine, and the whole thing's an overreaction. So you want to be getting the research to listen to what smart people are saying about this.
Yeah.
And did you get a chance to do that?
Yeah, we had the
Good.
research. What was it? We had the report emailed to us, right? And I actually did take a look at it, and that was actually a part of the reason why I took this trade, was that this was kind of an overreaction. You know, we didn't think
From
that-
research. So from the good research that you are reading and getting,
Yeah, from the firm directly. Yeah,
to the firm, we're thinking, hey, maybe this is an overreaction. Okay.
exactly. So I just want to go back to the technicals because it was very important on this day.
Yeah, go back. We set the scene. So
Yeah.
go back to where we were.
Great. So we're breaking a trend line, right? We've been in a very strong market. Dips being bought near the 50-day moving average in the Bollinger Bands, right? And we're gapping down now, few ATRs, like we said, and here are the key levels that I have mapped out, right? From 440 all the way down to 430, right? And also something to keep in mind, quad witching was on last Friday, which brings naturally more volatility, right? So here's our 2-hour chart. we're gapping down, coming into support at 330 and 236. I'm sorry, 436. My bad. And here's our 5-minute charts, right? So in the top left, right, I look for that initial flush and then that reclaim of VWAP. And to support that, I always look at volatility, ADD, and the tick. So we do get that positive tick, as you can see in the top right. We're holding that negative 1,000 tick. So we open really negative, right? And then we start to reclaim that along with the VIX falling, right? I'd like to see ADD have an uptrend, and that was actually a check against me, right? But for the opening drive, right, to get long into that bounce, having that that negative tick go positive and volatility decrease is important.
All right, so we've got aggressive flush, reclaim above VWAP.
Mm-hmm.
We've got aggressive up move, short the rejection of that price.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. First move is not aggressive, consolidates, take the opening drive break, opening range break.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've thought through some scenarios here. So when I was reviewing your trade, there was another one that is a better trade that you should think about. Okay, and that better trade for something like this, given the scenario we're in, is what? So go back to the open and give me the intraday movement.
So we gap down pre-market, we're taking a little bit down off the open. We have a little bit of an up move and then a rejection and a hold under VWAP, and then we test lower prices like at around 11:30.
Okay. So one other scenario I want you to be thinking about is just a complete blow off. So a really steep move to the downside on heavy volume,
Mm-hmm.
capitulation move, and play the reversal on the capitulation move. That's another scenario that we want you thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
Harder trade, but I want to expose you to that idea because that's a really good trade as well.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does make sense. And this day, I wasn't even expecting that capitulation, like you said. So maybe having a game plan for that would have been good too. So where were we? We went through the technicals, right? Some other market names that I looked at that gave me a little bit more confidence on this trade. I look at like Apple, Amazon's, Facebook's of the world, and all these names are gapping into support as well. As you could see in Apple, there was lots of consolidation from a few weeks ago that we're getting into. On Amazon, we opened near the previous earnings high from a few days ago, and Microsoft as well. We retested the previous high and bouncing off the 50-day moving average. Facebook was a little bit weaker on this
So
day.
you're looking at those market names to get you some more color as to whether or not we're going to bounce?
Yeah,
And you're watching the reaction to those names?
exactly, yeah. I want to see if they're also bouncing at their support levels and their key technicals.
Okay.
So here was the checklist. We pretty much got everything except that increased volume above the breakout. And we got some volume coming into the pull-ins. Like when I expect a mean reversion trade, right, SPY's bouncing, I would expect that volume remains consistent and doesn't pick up when we start to decline, right? We didn't get too much option flow in the morning, and we didn't have that ADD as well. So a few checks in my favor, a few against. And here was the option flow. We didn't get anything that aggressive in the morning. Towards the end of the day, we got some aggressive call buying, but not really what I look for off the open, at least. So here was my trade management, very simple execution. When we reclaimed that VWAP at 434.50, got long. I could have scaled maybe some into 436, but I thought we were going to be a little bit stronger, and potentially this could even set up for a swing. So I got flat when the intraday trend line got broken at around 950. So got long 434.50, the reclaim of VWAP, and then sold on the trend line break at 435.50 around.
Okay.
So here's my ideal trade.
Okay. So what'd you think about that trade overall? Your exit's actually pretty good.
I thought it was all right. I think my risk to reward was good, and this could have set up really big. But I followed my reasons to sell, and I thought it was a good trade overall.
There's something that we talk about internally, and we tend to save this for people who are more experienced. This is a perfect example where I gotta expose you to it. So you are pointing out a setup that has edge, and you do a good job of that. But you need to take this further, okay? You need to find more edge in the overall scenario by doing something else. And that's what we call how you express your trade. Okay, so you're doing a good job finding edge. You're not really doing as good of a job as you can expressing your trade, expressing your edge. And what I mean by that is you should have taken this in a different way. You shouldn't have gotten long SPY to express your trade on this particular play. What you should have done was you should have looked at, hey, what are these stocks that are down too much, that are market stocks, that I can potentially look at if the market's going to bounce? What are the names that are just not connected in any way with real estate or China that are down almost as much as the market? What are the names that are down even more than the market, that are market stocks that are going to have a good chance to bounce? There's just going to be some stocks that are dislocated. They're down, they make even less sense as to their price than SPY. You're basically saying SPY's not the right price, and you do a really good job of that. There's going to be better ways for you to say that with individual names. There's going to be individual names that are just even more likely to bounce, that are down even more, that have more room to run when the market actually turns around. And you want to be developing that list. So you're doing a good job of tracking some of the market names. But what is there a REIT? Is there a U.S. REIT that has nothing to do with China and is down more than the overall market, that we start to see some strength? I don't want to really give you I want to be careful. I don't want to give you the answers for this. Mm-hmm. I want to actually give you the general principle of this was an opportunity to express it better with stock than it was with SPY. Trying to make a point in SPY, and I know you tried to make more than that, but making a point in SPY is not a sustainable strategy. Mm-hmm. You're going to trade SPY, you need to make, at this stage of your career, like 5 points. It's just too hard to trade.
Yeah.
Whereas if you hone in on an individual stock that you say, this is just down way too much. When the market bounces, it's going to bounce. It has no connection with China. This is just a way better trading opportunity than trading the overall market. And then you start to watch the tape in an individual name. You'll see it better than you will SPY. And you'll have more reward than you will with SPY, because it will actually just go up more relative to the overall market. And you'll be able to control your risk better, because it's just easier to trade stocks than it is to trade SPY overall. Mm-hmm. So, and then as you get even more advanced, you may even think about just trading options with this. But this is a perfect example, and I think when I think of the reasons why proprietary traders have edge over independent traders, I can probably narrow that down into 6 reasons. I can think about capital, I can think about technology, I can think about strategies, I can think about team trading, I can think about coaching, and I can think about we learn how to express our edge better than independent and retail traders. We have experienced traders out here who can help you to do that. For example, you'll hear Max shouting out about a better way to make a trade with options than with stock. You can't help it. If you just open up your ears, you'll hear it. He's doing it all day long. You'll hear Shark talk about dynamic hedging. We actually made this name up for him, but instead of him just nakedly shorting the front side, he's come up with a really clever way to do that by hedging. And so that is what guys are doing. And so this is an example right here, and that is edge in of itself. Like, you have edge because you have a good setup. There's additional edge by how you set up the trade, by how you structure the trade. Mm-hmm. And so here, structuring the trade better, this is the time to structure the trade better, and will bring a lot better results. So we'll talk case by case as that goes along. I'll introduce you to that. You're a little bit younger, so I'll introduce you to that idea, and then we'll be super specific about it as we go along.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So this is my trade review, right? Self-talk. So on gap down days into support, the initial value is to the upside as technical buyers are meeting emotional sellers. I must stay open-minded as there are multiple scenarios that could play out, right?
Yep. You did a really good job of that.
Thank you.
You did a really good job coming up with your game plan and being open-minded.
Exactly, because I did think like this news was not really that significant, but you have to have multiple scenarios in case the market does sell off.
No, and also look what happened in the overall trade, which is there was a little bit of a bounce. Open-mindedness in time is going to help you to play the short side as well. You'll be able to catch the long and the short as an active trader. So that's the significance of being open-minded. I mean, the short sort of came to us. It was kind of an easy short, wasn't it?
Yeah. So another thing, I was talking to a trader in real time who had the same idea as me, and we pointed out things that each other missed, and that gave me confidence in this trade. So the consequences were that this was about...
So who you're talking to?
Or
you can just give me initials.
No, I wasn't talking to anybody at the firm. It was actually somebody outside, but...
Okay.
Yeah, me and him were good friends ever since high school. So, and he wants to get into prop trading too, but... Anyways, so the...
Well, he knows where to find us.
Yeah, I told him to apply many times, but...
He probably didn't get hired. Kidding. Go ahead.
So the consequences were that it was a 1R trade, right? My MFE was 1.5R, and I almost took no drawdown in this trade. So coaching talk. I think I did a great job with the initial long, but I could do a better job taking rejects when my long thesis is not playing out. There was tons of opportunities to catch both sides, and I need to be open-minded in that regard, and we talked about that. I also want to talk with traders to build a backtest on instances where we do gap down almost 2 ATRs and see the historical data. And I also kind of want to experiment for when we open outside our daily Bollinger Bands. I think that might be an interesting backtest to see over the next few days how does the SPY trade, you know. But other than that, that's all I have.
I think that's worth testing.
Yeah.
Particularly when you couple outside of Bollinger Bands with shorter term price action. That's particularly effective. I'll please try and talk to you some more about that. And you know, just one particular note here, and we could probably talk about this for 30 minutes, but there are some people that believe the only thing that you look at is price, and there are people that build a career off of that. The only thing we look at is price. This is one of those instances where that argument becomes less persuasive, and there are people that will step forward and say, yeah, but in this case, price is dictated by whether or not the news is really true or not, whether or not the news is really significant or not. And then price will lag whether or not smart money believes that or not. And then the other side will say, well, you don't have to actually do all that research because I'll just be able to see it. I'll just be able to see the smart money stepping in, and we can just go from there. And that's true for the best of price action traders and the best of chartists. But I like the fact that you are diving into the research and seeing if you can get an edge there or a variable to add on top of your variables there to help you with your trades. Good. I think you did a lot right here. I think this is actually a really good example.
Thank you.
Hey, go ahead and click our subscribe button so you don't miss any of the videos that we're producing for you in the trading community. And please take the time to add your feedback in the comments section for what videos you'd like for us to produce next and what you found helpful from this video. From all of us at SMB, train and trade well.